Welcome back to Sunrise. If you're just joining us, thanks for coming along. Well, yesterday, as you may know, was the staging of the 2024 local government elections, the 17th in our nation's history. Joining us this morning for a recap of the day and the results, we have economist and social commentator Sandre Rhoden, and we are likely to be joined by another commentator in just a moment. When we do, we'll introduce him. But Sandre, welcome, joining us via Zoom. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise. Welcome back. You've pulled one heck of a day, Sandre.
Oh boy, good morning. I am a bit tired because it's been a lot. And I think yesterday we experienced something I haven't experienced in a while. You know, the numbers aren't quite clear and it's now 6:45 a.m. the next day. So it has been quite an experience, I would say, as it relates to us seeing the numbers coming in from yesterday.
Yeah.
And this local government election, as people have said, it has been an opportunity for party bases to bring out their supporters to the polls. And we have seen a surge in that, not an increase in the voter turnout. It's roughly around the same percentage point, or I think 1% less than the last time in 2016. But we have seen an election yesterday.
We're now joined by political commentator Kevin O'Brien. Chang, welcome to the program as well, Kevin.
Hi, everybody. Morning.
All right, Kevin, let me ask you, what is your interpretation of the state of play as of right now?
Well, election was an excellent look for Jamaica. There was no violence. The both parties, the supporters got on well together. It went smooth yesterday. And the state of play is that we're pretty balanced in the local government. I think PNP, it's close 7-6, 8-6. We're not sure the recounts. I think the PNP has like 112 seats. The JLP has 106. It's pretty close. So it's very balanced, which is always good for a democracy. And Mr. Mark Golding has certainly answered his critics in no uncertain terms. So we're talking he might have to resign. Well, he party did extremely well, better than most expected. In fact, both pollsters predicted a JLP victory, and the PNP won. So Mr. Golding has outperformed expectations. And I don't think he has to worry about his job anymore. And the PNP certainly revitalized the JLP. Well, they got a wake-up call, and it's for them to adjust to the realities. The Prime Minister talked about it last night. But it's a very good look for Jamaican democracy, in my view.
Let me ask you, Sandre, as far as things seem now, the current status quo remains largely, except in the prized position of the KSAMC, which looks likely to be led by the People's National Party based on the 2020 tie that we're seeing, and the popular vote will ultimately decide that the PNP will gain control of it. But if it is as we are seeing it, for the most part, the status quo has remained. Who can really claim that they've won the local government elections of 2024?
You know, that was a conversation I was having up to last night, because Kevin would have just now said Mark Golding has won, but who really wins?
Right.
You know, because some people say it's popular vote, but popular vote does not equal municipalities, and municipalities are how the parties will contend with how they think they would have performed, because the more municipalities they control, they're going to say, you know, that's what would constitute a victory for them. Back in 2016, it was 8-4-1, and now we're seeing it balanced out, as Kevin would have said, but we still aren't 100% sure of the numbers until we get those final numbers today to tomorrow, which will show us. But based on the parish results, we're seeing it practically equal. But what we can say is that in Clarendon and KSAMC, those two are tied. So it's showing orange on the map, but as it relates to municipalities, they are tied, and the popular vote now gives the swing in Clarendon to the People's National Party and the swing in the KSAMC to the People's National Party, but those aren't clear outright wins. So in real terms, with the uncertainty, the JLP has outrightly won 6 municipalities. The PMP has won 4 municipalities. There are 2 ties where the PMP gets that advantage because of the popular vote, and we still don't know what has happened in St. Thomas just yet. So winning is different based on what winning looks like, because when you look at even the popular vote across the country, PMP has pulled out a lot of support and they have gained the popular vote over the Jamaica Labour Party. I think even Lloyd B. Smith last night was saying a very important point, that he believes that the Jamaica Labour Party did not get enough of their supporters to come out and vote yesterday, which is a very important point, because that says that all the campaigning done, that there is still some deficit in bringing out the base, which is a worrying concern, as Kevin would have said, for the Jamaica Labour Party, and they would have to go back to the drawing board.
Kevin, I'm going to ask you here, for the independent voter who, Sandre just, referenced the lack of the JLP supporters turning out, but for the independent voter who is neither green nor orange, who is looking on saying, but what does this really mean? Why would I turn out? Where does my voice get heard here? What do you say to that voter?
I think there's one tied seat, if I'm not mistaken, and some pretty close ones. And an independent vote could have tipped that either way if you had voted for the other side. So making your vote independent can count. And in the end, listen, Pericles, the great statesman of Athens, had a famous saying, you may not take care about politics, but politics will take care about you. Somebody has to run the country. Somebody has to run the local government, and that person will make decisions that affects your life. If you don't care who governs you, well, that's your problem. Most common sense people would say, look, I care about who governs me, because it affects my life, my children. If I don't vote, I have no say in that. Other people have say and I don't. So if you're happy with that, fine.
You've mentioned, or you've alluded to it, Kevin, and Sandre as well. Speak to the internal dynamics of both political parties, because coming from 2020, when there was a complete wipeout, and many people would say that the PNP's base did not turn out, what does it speak to the capacity of Dayton Campbell as a general secretary and Mark Golding as a president of the PNP to rev up the PNP's machinery and take it forward? Sandre?
Yeah, I continue to say, and I'll maintain, because the polls have proven accurate so far. I've even predicted over the past couple of weeks that it would be just about 8-6, and that is clearly where
the polls definitely won last night.
Right, because they have been vindicated. Because I've been saying it, because I'm an economist, I believe in numbers. So when we look at that, you have to give Dayton Campbell his credit, because he would have ensured his organization in Westmoreland Eastern, is so strong that he swept his constituency that he's now the caretaker for. And also you have to look at the organization on the ground. And I've said it last night that we have seen a PMP that has gotten about 3 whole years or 4 years to organize and get themselves together. Whether or not we've said they're divided and there are issues over there, that speaks to the organization. And normally, and I know Kevin will agree with this, incumbent governments normally leave out that political factor when it comes on their party line and getting their party organized. And even though there has been extensions of the local government elections, that hasn't changed the fact that we did expect the People's National Party to be more organized, because they've had more time, more space to do so. And I can't speak to the Mark Golding effect just yet, because we're still seeing that he's unpopular. But what I can say is that the organization on the ground seemed to have worked.
Finally then, one thing that is certain is that we are constitutionally due an election in 2025. This is one of the closest turnaround periods between a local and a constitutionally due general. Are we likely to see a very long general election campaign season going forward? Because coming out of this, people are going to want to maintain momentum. Are we likely to have almost a year and a half of campaigning, or do you think it's going to die down and then resurge come 2025? I want to hear both of you on it.
Well, the government is, whatever people want to say, the government lost the expectations yesterday. The PNP outperformed, the JLP underperformed. The government doesn't like to take risks. They like to have a lead or a healthy lead. So I doubt the JLP is going to have a current election anytime soon. They're going to wait, do things. They put on the 1.5, probably go to 2.25, that income tax. They might take up Mr. Golding's suggestion, take some of that deficit cutting they've done and spend on the people. They're going to have to do something to get the vote back. A general election yesterday, they probably have lost it, right? So they will delay as long as they can to get people back on their side. That's what governments always do when they're weak. And JLP is weak right now, definitely.
Sandre?
And I agree with Kevin. It shows that there is a level of leadership the government now has to take, not just at a state level, but at a political level. And the decisions that they make still need to be focusing on keeping us in that monetary policy and framework. But they also have to weigh what their political costs have been, because they have made some decisions that have not really resonated with the people. And for some people, they would have said to me, I spoke to a guy that's independent and he's a critical thinker, and he says he's just voting against the government because he believes they're overconfident and they need to be checked. So it's not that he's against their policies, he's for their policies, but he's saying he does not like that level of arrogance that's coming off because they have the 49 seats over the 14. And that says, yes, we're going to see a long lead up to what would be a general election, but that also says in many seats that the JLP would have won in 2020, they now have to go look back, check up, do their numbers again, because obviously if we see certain seats like Hanover, for example, yes, it's been traditionally PNP, but Jamaica Labour Party has 2 MPs over there. That has gone fully orange. You now know that the PNP has resurged as it relates to their base, so they're going to have to sit down, plan it out, and figure out how it is they win back that confidence that they had in 2020 and 2016 of the Jamaican people, to be able to come back to them as electorate to say they deserve another term at the wicket.
You know, for me, when this is all said and done, who wins is the Jamaican people, because the democracy is going head to head and they're going at it. So we win because they both are going to try and outperform the other, because things are neck and neck, which serves us better as the citizens of the nation.
I agree.
Fully agree.
100%.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Our guests, Kevin O'Brien, Chang, and Sandre Rhoden, political commentators both. We're coming up on the 7 o'clock break. TK is on standby with the news. Stay with us. We'll be right back.